after year, thousands of country men and women gather at the great sheep shows held throughout Australia. Some of them have travelled from the far inland, some from the tablelands, others from the fertile slopes, and many of them have come from the plains. For these shows are of vital importance to the Commonwealth's greatest industry, and for one very good reason at least. The ram, at its best, can safeguard, it can improve the quality of Australian flocks as effectively and as immediately as any single factor in the economy of wool. An illustration of this is offered by two strong wool champions which have been placed either side of two direct descendants of the first Spanish merinos brought to this country 150 years ago. The contrast gives us some measure of how far Australian studmasters have developed their flocks since those early days. Why have such marked differences occurred? One obvious objective was to grow more and still more wool on each sheep, but another and less obvious purpose was to breed types of merino that would suit the widely varying conditions found in different parts of Australia. If we visit a few of the many districts from which these sheep have travelled, we shall gain some understanding of just how different those conditions can be, and why different types of merino are needed for each. Way back in the drier inland, where great areas depend on wool and on wool alone for profitable occupation, big sheep are encountered. A flock of these is being taken down one of the immense stock routes that cross this country, and in rather a hurry. It's a mile wide and more than 150 miles long. Here, a homestead can be upwards of 20 miles from its boundary fences, for this is a country of holdings so large that they are occasionally measured by the square mile, and there's a reason for that too. The rainfall average is so low that it's seldom advisable to run more than one sheep to every 12 acres. The sparse vegetation has had to stand up to centuries of hot, dry weather, and salt bush covers many thousand acres of it. Few plants are better adapted to low rainfall conditions than this hardy survivor of drought and windstorm, and sheep do quite well on it, provided there are not too many of them. The limits set by climate and vegetation have been met by sheep breeders who developed an animal of strong constitution, capable of traveling long distances in search of food and back again to water. They grow a robust wool that can withstand the effects of an extremely hot, dry and dusty climate, which can be very damaging to fleeces of finer fiber. They are known as strong wool merinos, and fresh rams are brought in from time to maintain the vigor of flocks and their ability to grow heavy fleeces under such conditions. The men running sheep in this country keep a keen eye on the quality of such new blood. We cross the inland plains on our way towards those nearer the slopes, where a different type of merino is frequently seen, and as we cross them, the all-important rainfall increases from 10 to 20 to 25 inches a year. Many million sheep are pastured on the many million acres of these plains and slopes, which together make up one of the greatest wool-growing territories in the world. Their plentiful grasslands, lightly timbered, are far more heavily stocked than the drier inland, and medium wool merinos are found throughout them. Not quite as big as the strong wools, these mediums still carry a heavy weight of fleece that is finer in fiber than the more robust sheep. Its quality is of special importance during the present world shortage of fine wools in particular, and a great deal depends on just how fine in quality their wool is and how much of it they can grow. One of the best assurances of both quality and quantity is provided by medium wool merino stud rams, such as these champions in the making. We climb to higher country, 2,000 feet and more above sea level, and well within the higher rainfall zone. Lighter pastures coupled with a colder climate have helped sheep breeders to preserve the finest fibered wools, for the sheep that grow them are best suited by such a combination of plain living and high country. fine wool merinos. They are generally smaller in frame than the mediums and the strongs, but their fleeces are densely grown. Their owners call them the aristocrats of the industry, a claim that's been hotly challenged, but there's much to support it in these representatives. It was with fleeces from this type of sheep that Australia first established her wool-growing reputation overseas. It's with fleeces from sheep like these that artificial fibers will find it most difficult to compete, provided that sufficient of them are grown. It's fine, bright, soft, and soundly bred. The greatly increased demand for such fleeces can be only met if every district capable of growing fine wool grows it, and heading the march towards that objective are the fine wool rams. Their more immediate objective, however, is the sale room, where buyers are already gathering, agreed on one point at least, that none of them will waste good feed on poor sheep. This stalwart is marked down for spirited bidding. Actually, it brought the top price of the sale, 1,700 guineas. Some late arrivals roll in from the airport after a 1,000-mile trip. A medium wool ram follows them, and a good ram it is too. Each type has its supporters and each its critics, but this fine wool can stand up to the closest inspection from any direction. Interest is naturally centered on the sheep, but there's a good deal left over for a display of fabrics made from the various types of wool they grow. A strong wool is halted on its way to the sale room. Its fleece will provide the raw material for heavy-duty sergers, such as are made into tram and bus conductors' uniforms, and these need to be strong and durable. They furnish the yarns for knitted goods that will have to stand up to equally severe service. They also go into a wide range of heavy-duty industrial felts. A medium wool ewe, reserve champion of the sheep show that just closed, and there's no doubt she's true to type. Fleeces from medium wools furnish the yarn that will go to make cloth for a still threadbare world, cloth for men's suits, materials for women's frocks. The wool used in weaving this type of textile represents the largest part of Australia's yearly clip. But fine fibered raw material is essential for fine fabrics, and here the fine wool sheep comes into its own. The number of fleeces like these is limited, and some of them are spun and woven into first quality worsteds. This is a tropical weave of outstanding lightness and finish. Even more limited is the supply of superfine wool. From it come gossamer materials so sheer that they take the imprint of the most delicate pattern clear through to the back of the weave. They will stand comparison with the choicest fabric in the marketplaces of the world. In this market, however, the sheep from which such fleeces come are paramount. And bidding is fast, for there's a strict time limit imposed. More than 1,300 rams, top stud, specially selected and flock, will be sold for more than 100,000 guineas, an average of £81 per head. They are drawn from only 2 of the 6 Australian states, but they will go to properties all over the continent. They are bidding for fresh blood for the tablelands, fresh blood for the plains, fresh blood for the fertile slopes, fresh blood for the flocks of the Commonwealth, and they're selling fast. The care and skill of Australian sheep breeders in the past has been of first importance to the development of flocks and to the success of the industry. They will be just as vital to its success in the future.